Everyone wants to know, when will cars truly drive themselves? When will they fly? And more importantly, we are focused on the future of.
Imagine a world where traffic jams are a thing of the past and the sky is your new highway. Toyota's groundbreaking new flying car is about to turn this dream into reality. After years of anticipation and development, this revolutionary vehicle is finally hitting the market, promising to redefine the future of transportation. Buckle up and prepare for takeoff as Toyota leads us into a new era of mobility. Flying cars in sci-fi cinema. Science fiction fans have long been fascinated by flying cars, which they see as a way for technology to become more natural in daily life. The DeLorean from Back to the Future and the Spinner from Blade Runner are two sci-fi films that will always be remembered for their famous characters. These vehicles not only show the creative vision of the films they were made for, but they also show the larger aesthetic and thematic issues of the times they were made in. Robert Zemeckis directed the 1985 movie Back to the Future, which shows how the DeLorean DMC-12 can be changed from a regular car into a time machine. The real DeLorean was built in the early 1980s and was designed by John DeLorean. It was known for having gull-wing doors and a body made of stainless steel. In the movie, though, it's reimagined with a twist. It's turned into the time machine, complete with flux capacitors and a changed engine that let it move through time. There's more to the DeLorean than just how sleek and unique it looks. This is what moves the story forward and lets Marty McFly, Michael J. Fox, and Dr. Emmett Brown, Christopher Lloyd go back in time and change the course of history. The car's ability to hover and journey through time is a mix of futuristic fantasy and real-world effects that capture the essence of the 1980s fascination with new technology in sci-fi films. The car is beautiful to look at, and while some of its features are modern, others are a nod to the classic car culture of the 1980s. The DeLorean represents the hopefulness of the time for technological progress and the chance for science fiction to explore complicated ideas about time and cause and effect. The Spinner from Ridley Scott's 1982 movie Blade Runner, on the other hand, shows a different view of the future. It's a flying car that glides through the crowded, neon-lit streets of a future Los Angeles. It was designed by the famous futurist and concept artist Sid Mead. The philosophy behind its design is to emphasize both modern technology and usefulness. The design is sleek and works well. Blade Runner's Spinner's main job is to show off the movie's dark cyborg look. It floats easily through the dirty skies of a city in the future that's both technologically advanced and socially broken. The DeLorean makes you feel like you're on an exciting and magical journey. The Spinner, on the other hand, is a representation of how complicated the future will be and how far technological progress is from human experience. The appearance of the car brings out the film's theme of loneliness and what happens when technology moves forward without being regulated. There are parts of both modern and futuristic design in the Spinner's look. Its ability to hover and move through the busy, multi-layered landscape supports the movie's idea of a future where technology both brings people together and separates them. The Spinner is a great example of how popular cyberpunk became in the 1980s. Cyberpunk is a genre that looks at what happens when high technology and low life meet. It has a more pessimistic view of the future than Back to the Future. The DeLorean and the Spinner are both symbols of the future seen in their respective movies, but they show different views on technology and its place in society. The DeLorean is a sign of adventure and possibility that shows how exciting and useful technological progress can be. Its look and purpose fit the story of time travel and discovery in the movie. The Spinner, on the other hand, shows a more complex and maybe even worrying view of future technology. Its design shows how technological progress has hurt the environment and made it harder for people to get along with each other. The Spinner's appearance in the movie shows that the connection between technology and society is more complicated than it seems. It shows how progress is linked to darker parts of human experience. The Real World of Flying Cars, a Historical Overview. For more than 100 years, scientists, engineers, and futurists have been interested in flying cars, which represent the dream of combining car and aeroplane technology in a way that works well together. This big goal has been worked on through many versions and ideas, each one a big step forward in the history of personal air and ground transportation. The autoplane, which Glenn Curtiss built in 1917, was one of the first and most famous attempts. One of the first aviators and aircraft designers, Curtiss wanted to make a car that could turn into an aeroplane. The aeroplane had wings that could be folded up and a strong engine that let it fly or go on the road. Even though it had a unique design, the Curtiss is a famous figure in aircraft history. The autoplane had many problems that kept it from being made. The dream of a real flying car never came true, mostly because of the limited technology available at the time and practical issues. The amphibian was created by Robert Fulton in the 1940s. Fulton was an inventor who was known for his work in both aircraft and car design. It was planned for this combination vehicle to be able to work as both a car and an airplane. When the amphibian's wings and tail were taken off, it could be turned into an airplane. It was a two-seater car. Fulton's design had an engine in the back and a unique way for the wings to fold up. He wanted it to be as easy to drive as a car and as free as a plane. Even though it took a new method, the amphibian ran into a lot of problems, such as problems with regulations and limited technology. The amphibian was not an economic success because of these problems and the difficulty of combining automotive and aeronautical systems. However, it's still an important event in the history of flying cars. The 1950s saw the release of Moulton Taylor's Aero car, a car that caught people's attention because it could go from driving on the road to flying. The Aero car had a sleek look and had wings that could be folded up and a tail that could be pulled back so it could be driven on regular roads. In his big dream for the Aero car, Taylor imagined a time when these kind of cars would be widespread. With its propeller system and engine mounted in the back, the Aero car could take off and rest on roads. Even though there were several versions and test flights, the Aero car ran into problems in the real world, such as complicated design rules and government restrictions. These problems made it harder for many people to use the Aero car, but Taylor's work taught us a lot about what flying cars can and can't do. In the late 1950s and early 1960s, John Frost led the development of the Avro car, which was a risky attempt to make a vehicle that could both hover and fly. Using a special spinning system, the disc-shaped Avro car was made to float in the air. It was part of a secret military project to improve the ability to take off and land vertically, VTOL. Even though it had a unique design, the Avro car had a lot of performance problems, such as being unstable and hard to handle. The craft's strange shape and ability to hover made it hard to get it just right, and in the end, the project was deemed useless. The problems with the Avro car showed how hard it is to make flying cars that work and are reliable, which affected future study and development in the field. All of these early ideas and examples were very important in determining the direction of flying car technology. From Curtiss's autoplane to the Avro car, these groundbreaking projects showed both the possibilities and the difficulties of combining systems from cars and aeroplanes. Even though none of these early designs were widely adopted, they did pave the way for future improvements and inventions in the search for useful flying cars. Modern flying car technology builds on these historical roots by using new materials, advanced engineering, and high-tech avionics to make the dream of personal air and ground transportation closer to reality. Modern developments in flying car technology. Inventors and futurists have long been fascinated by the idea of cars that can fly. Thanks to big steps forward in technology, this idea is getting closer and closer to becoming reality. New improvements in flying car technology show that people are still working to make cars that can easily switch between flying and driving. The Terrafugia Transition, the PAL V Liberty, Joby Aviation's eVTOL aircraft, and Toyota's interest in flying car innovations are some of the most important steps forward. These new developments show how car and aerospace technologies are coming together, and they show how people are becoming more dedicated to making personal air travel a reality. The Terrafugia Transition, which was made by Terrafugia Inc., is a revolutionary vehicle that's meant to connect cars and planes. The Transition is a roadable aircraft that was first introduced in the early 2000s. Its goal is to combine the ease of use of a car with the ability to take off and land like an airplane. This car has wings that can be folded up and lowered so that it can be driven on regular roads. It has a 100 horsepower engine and is certified as a light sport aircraft. This lets the transition go up to 100 miles per hour in the air and 70 miles per hour on the ground. Safety and ease of use are two of the best things about the Terrafugia transition. The vehicle is built with a backup control system to make it more reliable, and it has high-tech avionics to help with tracking and flight control. The transition also puts a lot of emphasis on following the rules for light sport aircraft to make sure it meets safety and operating standards. The transition has had problems and delays with certification and production, even though it has a unique form and looks like it could do a lot. That being said, it's a big step towards making flying cars a real choice for everyday life. The PAL V Liberty, which was made by PAL V International, is another exciting step forward in the technology of flying cars. The PAL V Liberty was introduced as the first commercial flying car in the world. It has features of both a gyrocopter and a road vehicle. Because of its unique shape, it can be used as both personal helicopter and a three-wheel car. The Liberty is a strong gyrocopter with a rotor system that lets it take off and rest vertically, and a retractable rotor blade mechanism that makes it easier to fly on roads. When it comes to speed, the PAL V Liberty can go up to 100 miles per hour in the air and 100 miles per hour on the ground. Its engine has 200 horsepower. The car is built with a foldable rotor system that lets it switch between flight and road modes. The Liberty also puts safety first with a ballistic parachute system and high-tech electronics for navigation and flying control. The PAL V Liberty's creative approach to personal air travel shows how flying cars could change transportation by allowing people to move around both in the air and on land. Even though it has come a long way, the PAL V Liberty still has problems getting approved by regulators and being used in real life. Electrical vertical takeoff and landing (eVTOL) technology, which is being developed by Joby Aviation, is a step forward in the development of flying cars. Joby Aviation was started in 2009 with the goal of making a fully electrical plane that can take off and rest vertically. Their electric VTOL aircraft is meant to be an efficient, noiseless, and eco-friendly alternative to standard planes and cars. The Joby eVTOL aircraft has a sleek future look and uses multiple rotors to lift and move the plane. Electric motors and batteries give it speed, and a single charge can take it up to 150 miles. The plane is made to go as fast as 200 miles per hour and is meant to be used for air movement in cities. Joby Aviation's eVTOL is meant to solve some of the biggest problems that flying cars have, like making less noise, using less energy, and keeping people safe. With successful test flights and agreements with big names in the transportation and aviation industries, the company has made a lot of progress in testing and development. Because Joby focuses on electric propulsion and improved aerodynamics, it will be a leader in the future of air travel in cities. Toyota, which is a world leader in car technology, has also put a lot of money into developing new ideas for flying cars. In the past few years, Toyota has worked with a number of different businesses and groups to look into the possibilities of flying cars and other advanced air mobility options. One important partnership is with the Japanese startup SkyDrive, which is making an electric vertical takeoff and landing eVTOL plane for city transportation. Toyota's interest in flying car technology shows that the company wants to find new ways to get around and solve the problems that come with getting around cities. As part of its involvement, the company is giving money, technical advice, and access to its many research and development tools. Toyota's investments and strategic partnerships in flying car technology are meant to speed up the creation of useful and environmentally friendly ways for people to move by air. Utilizing its extensive knowledge in vehicle engineering and new technology, Toyota hopes to help make flying cars a real and useful mode of transportation. Toyota's role in the future of flying cars. Toyota has been a leader in the car business for a long time, and its latest efforts to make flying cars show that it wants to shape the future of transportation. By teaming up with Joby Aviation, a California-based startup that specializes in electric vehicle takeoff and landing (eVTOL) planes, the company has taken a big step forward. This partnership is more than just a commitment of money. It's Toyota's entry into the next big thing in mobility. Toyota and Joby Aviation are working together because they both want to change the way people get around cities. A company called Joby Aviation has been working on an eVTOL plane that will supposedly mix the ease of traveling by car with the speed and efficiency of flying. The vehicle, which can hold 4 people plus a pilot, will provide an alternative to standard vehicles on the road, especially in crowded cities. Toyota is more involved in this relationship than just giving money. The automaker adds decades of experience making cars and strict quality control procedures to the table. This helps Joby Aviation scale up production and make sure the flying cars meet the highest standards for safety and dependability. This collaboration shows that Toyota is still confident in eVTOL technology's ability to change how people get around cities, making transit faster and less crowded. Partnership with SkyDrive. Toyota has invested in SkyDrive, a Japanese startup that's working on making small flying cars in addition to its work with Joby Aviation. SkyDrive wants to make flying cars a regular way to get around in the future so that everyone can use them. Their prototype, the SD03, is an eVTOL vehicle with a single seat that has already been through successful test flights, showing that personal air travel is possible. Toyota's work with SkyDrive is very smart because it fits with the company's larger goals of being innovative and environmentally friendly. With this relationship, Toyota can try out a range of ideas for flying cars, from air taxis to personal flying cars. SkyDrive's goal of making a small, cheap, and simple-to-use flying car fits in with Toyota's goal of making high-tech gadgets available to everyone. Toyota's investment and technical help have been very important in speeding up SkyDrive's growth. The automaker's knowledge of electrics, battery technology, and lean production has been very helpful in getting around the technical problems that come with making flying cars. SkyDrive support from Toyota not only gives the company the resources it needs to keep growing, but it also gives the startup's big plans more respect. The future of urban air mobility. Toyota and Joby Aviation's partnership is a big step towards making the idea of urban air mobility, UAM, a reality. Joby Aviation's eVTOL planes are made to work as an air taxi service, taking people between and within towns whenever they need to. Together, the plane's electric propulsion system and ability to take off and rest vertically make it a good choice for exploring cities. Joby Aviation wants to see air taxis as a regular sight in the sky above big cities in the future. The service aims to cut journey times by a large amount by providing a faster and more efficient option to ground transportation. Some trips, like those that take an hour by car, could be done in just a few minutes by air taxi. This could change the way millions of people travel every day, making them less stressed and more productive. Toyota's help has been very important in making this goal come true by using its knowledge of making cars to help Joby Aviation make eVTOL planes. Toyota is helping the company grow and get ready for commercial service. The first public flights should happen in the next few years, which will start a new era in how people get around cities. Air cab services are what Joby Aviation does, while SkyDrive is trying to make personal flying cars a reality. The company's goal is to make a world where people can own and drive their own flying cars, just like they do with cars now. SkyDrive's SD03 prototype is a big step forward in this journey. It shows that small, personal eVTOL vehicles are possible. SkyDrive wants to sell its first flying car to the public by the mid of the 2020s, with the Japanese market in mind at first. With this product, the company hopes to make short-distance travel easier, especially in places with few roads or rough terrain. Toyota's funding and technical help have been very important in moving these plans forward and making sure that SkyDrive's cars meet the safety and performance standards that are needed. When SkyDrive's flying car goes on sale to the public, it'll be a big step forward in the history of transportation. It'll pave the way for a future where flying cars are a practical way to get around. Toyota is still behind SkyDrive, so it's in a good position to lead this new market and show how the skies will be open for everyone to explore in the future. Challenges and opportunities in flying car development. Getting through the complicated world of licensing and rules is one of the biggest problems in the development of flying cars. Unlike regular cars, flying cars have to follow strict rules set by flight authorities for safety and operation. Getting a new type of aircraft certified can take a long time and cost a lot of money. The vehicles have to go through a lot of tests to make sure they are safe for general use. Regulatory groups such as the Federal Aviation Administration (FAA) in the US and the European Union Aviation Safety Agency (EASA) are still working on the rules that will guide how flying cars are used. These rules will have to deal with many problems such as noise pollution, managing air traffic, and letting flying cars use existing airspace. Getting regulatory permission is a very important step for manufacturers because it affects the time it takes to go on sale. The rules for flight need to take into account the differences between flying in cities and flying in general. Flying cars will probably work at lower altitudes and closer to areas with lots of people, which will mean that airspace management will need to change. This means that new ideas are needed to find a balance between safety and adaptability that flying cars need to work well in cities. Technological and engineering challenges. There are also big technology and engineering problems with making flying cars. It takes modern materials, propulsion systems, and navigation technologies to make a car that can both drive on roads and fly through the air. It's not easy to make sure that these vehicles are light but strong, energy efficient but powerful, and safe to drive in all kinds of weather. Electric vertical takeoff and landing (eVTOL) technology is still in its early stages of research. Many ideas for flying cars depend on this technology. To make sure of reliability, engineers have to think about things like battery life, charging facilities, and making sure that important systems work in two different ways. Adding more advanced sensors and self-driving systems to handle the complicated aspects of air travel is another area that needs a lot of work. One of the biggest technical challenges is making sure that flying cars can easily switch between modes of ground and air. This needs advanced control systems that can handle the differences between driving and flying, as well as strong communication systems to keep the car in touch with air traffic control and other planes in the sky. An important problem that coders have to solve is how to make these systems reliable, easy to use, and cost-effective. Even with these problems, there's a big market opportunity for flying cars, and as the technology improves, more people may want to buy them. People think that urban air mobility, UAM, could help solve the problem of traffic jams that are getting worse in big towns. Flying cars could cut trip times by a lot, especially in places where infrastructure on the ground isn't very good or is already full. To get a lot of people to buy it though, worries about safety, cost, and ease of use will need to be addressed. Initial versions of flying cars are likely to be pricey, making them accessible to a small group of people. Costs may go down over time as production increases and technology gets better. This could make flying cars more accessible to a wider range of people. How safe people think flying cars are will also be a big factor in how many people use them. Manufacturers and regulators will have to show that these vehicles can work safely and efficiently in a variety of settings. Campaigns to teach people about this new way to get around might be needed to build trust and get more people to use it. Also, a lot of money will have to be spent on the infrastructure that flying cars need, like vertiports, for lifting and landing. The necessary facilities will need to be built by governments, businesses, and urban planners working together. This could make more people want to buy flying cars by making them easier to get to and more handy. If these efforts are combined with progress in technology and positive changes in regulations, flying cars could become a practical and generally accepted way to get around. Get ready to soar with Toyota's groundbreaking flying car. Want more exciting updates? Click on the video popping up now. Give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe for the latest in cutting-edge technology.